Hey everyone, this is Austin Bayliss with Central Empire Wrestling, and you are listening to Drinking at Moe's.
All right, everybody, welcome to Drinking at Moe's. Your host, Big Mo here. You watch this on YouTube, be sure to like, subscribe, turn on the notifications because, heck, this next weekend here, a lot of content going to be coming with me going to Warrior Wrestling there in St. Louis. But anyways, enough of talk about me. Today, I got with me the man behind Central Empire Wrestling and the Bridge City Slam 4 and FanFest, Austin Bayliss. How you doing?
Good, man. Thanks for having me, Big Mo. The man with the plan, the man behind Bridge City Slam 4 is honored to be with you. And you know that it's amazing to say those things because 4 years ago, it was just a dream, right? We just started with this vision of going to an arena and, you know, we rented a very small portion of it. We had this vision, we had this dream that we could do great things. And now 4 years later, it's wild. It's fun. I can't wait. We're about 10 days away at this point, and now's when the stress starts coming in. So, you know, it's fun to dream about this when you're 5 months, 4 months, 3 months away. Now, when you're 10 days away, it's like, all right, show me the day after.
Yeah, no, I can imagine, you know, that Bridge City Slam has turned into one hell of an event. I mean, when you factor in the show and the fan fest, you know, you've brought in some pretty big names.
So I am a big fan of wrestling. I'm a big fan of meeting people, and I collect autographs. And so for me, it's been really easy, you know, wrestling with different conventions and different, I many years ago went to a WrestleMania and we went to fan access and I fell in love with it. And as time would progress on the indie scene, especially the East Coast, you would start to see these different conventions. And I just always admired the promoters that could tackle an event like that. You know, a wrestling show's cool, but when you're a promoter, like everybody can do the wrestling show, right? Like that's kind of like promoting 101 if you're in wrestling.
Yeah.
But I want to do more than that. I want to be able to offer an opportunity, especially in Iowa, where these guys don't get to very often. Bushwhacker Luke's coming back to Iowa for the first time in like 3 decades, right? So just want to offer something that other places have here. And fortunately, there have been enough people that enjoy that kind of thing. And we're 10 days away from Bridge City Slam 4.
Yeah, no, you brought up one name that not only is going to be in the Fan Fest, but is actually booked for that. We'll go into that match a little bit, but that 6-man tag, Bushwhacker Luke, he was one of my favorites growing up. I don't know what it was about the Bushwhackers, but I loved the whole presentation of them. They coming out, you know, loved it.
So the difference between you and me is you were watching when Bushwhacker Luke was doing his thing. I am 34 and did not start watching wrestling until the late 90s. And so I missed Bushwhacker Luke in his prime and really have enjoyed my conversations with him on the phone here recently. And just an incredibly sharp mind, 75 years old, one of the oldest active professional wrestlers in the world. And I think, you know, a couple of years ago, we had Jerry Lawler come in.
Yeah.
Jerry Lawler was 70, right? So to see Jerry Lawler wrestling at 70 and people are like, gosh, I can't believe he's going to do that. You know, Bushwhacker Luke at 75, it's kind of,
where were we?
So Bushwhacker Luke, you know, a handful of years ago, a couple of years ago, we had Jerry the King Lawler in at 70 years old. It was wild watching him. Now Bushwhacker Luke's coming in at 75. And it's fun because when I'm postering, everybody recognizes the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase. And they say, gosh, how old is he now? He's not wrestling, surely. And I think he's like 68. And I'm like, nope, he's not wrestling. But the 75-year-old is. So Wrestling's an incredible platform for people, and at 75, it's a really cool thing that Bushwhacker Luke, 5-6 decades at this point that he's been active in professional wrestling.
Yeah.
Good for him. So, and good for the fans of wrestling too. In Iowa specifically, Ottumwa's the place to be. Saturday, June 4th at the Bridgeview Center in Ottumwa. That's just one aspect of the show you're not going to want to miss. I saw Bushwhacker Luke in Wisconsin here about 3 months ago. And whether you were a fan in the 80s or a fan in the 90s and you just researched Luke, when his music hit and he came out, everybody was doing the Bushwhacker. Everybody was moving their hands up and down. And honestly, I'm going to be a happy camper at the end of that weekend if we've got 500 to 600 people doing the Bushwhacker dance.
Oh, I know if I was actually able to be there, I'd be one of them doing it. But for reasons that I've already told you about that I'm not allowed to say on camera right now, you know.
Well, Bridge City Slam 5 will be next year. We're going to make it a 2-day event, and so you just make sure you plan on being there for that one. All right?
Oh, I will put it in my calendar right now. All right. So, you know what? Since we already kind of started talking about one of the participants in the match, why don't we just go ahead and start things off talking about that six-man tag that Bushwhacker Luke's going to be in?
So Bushwhacker will be teaming up with Jarrett Thumb and Donnie Pepper Cricket to take on the team of Rip Studwell, Big Bad Wallace, and a partner of their choosing, a partner to be named. Pretty exciting match, in my opinion. 6-man tags are always fun. There's always a lot of different combustible elements there. Donnie Pepper Cricket, CW Hall of Famer, somebody you and I know well. Jarrett Thumb, more, CW, he's been around for a couple of years. Because of COVID, it feels like maybe not as long as it actually has been, but through COVID, we did CW Power Slam. Jared was a huge factor in that. Taking on Big Bad Wallace. I don't know if you've seen him, but Brandon Wallace was actually very successful in CW Tag Team Champion, multiple-time Match of the Year winner. And all of a sudden, man, he's going after the women's division. So Big Bad Wallace, he calls himself the BBW, and he's now holding the BBC. So he beat at last year's Bridge City Slam. He won a match that he could cash in for a title opportunity at a time of his choosing. And oddly enough, he cashed in on the women's championship match about 2 hours later. So kind of a path that we didn't see coming for Brandon Wallace, but there he is. So he's coming to town June 4th in Ottumwa to team with Rip Studwell. Rip Studwell, a power lifter, big body guy.
Oh yeah.
Just kidding. Small body guy. Not a power lifter. I think he has like 2.5 pound dumbbells. Don't let that slide by. No power lifting for old Rip Studwell, but it's a fun match, man. We're gonna have a good time. I can't wait to announce that last person in the 6-man tag, and hoping to do that here in the next few days.
That'll be awesome. I mean, you talk about power lifters. I was thinking of a guy that, I mean, I haven't seen him around in a little bit, but old Nathan Redding, like I swear his arms are about as big as my thighs.
I don't know Nate real well, but gosh, I love him. The couple times he did come to CEW, I mean, just an absolute powerhouse. So wish we could have got to work together a little more, but hey, we're going to be around for a lot longer. So who knows? We might get Red Wing back.
That would be awesome. Brandon Wallace, you spoke of him. He hasn't been in Omaha in quite some time, but I do remember he faced off against the guy that was actually my first episode of the show, in Pat Powers, in a rather brutal match that I still remember to this day. They call it the bare bones match, where like they stripped out the canvas and the padding and just wrestled on the boards.
Well, that might be what happened to him. He got his butt kicked by Pat Powers in Omaha.
You know, that could be. All right. Another match. You're going to have the formerly known as Victoria. I'm forgetting what she goes by now, but she's going to be special guest ref in a match with Valentina Loca and you might need to correct me on the name. I don't know if I'm going to pronounce it right.
Sierra.
Yeah, I'm not too familiar with her, but I've seen a little bit of Valentina Loca stuff. That should be a pretty good match.
There?
Yep, I'm here. It looks like
all right. You're
froze, but yeah.
On me, but so Sierra's very popular in the Wisconsin area. You're going to get to hear more and more of her. She's been on AEW. I think she's going to be back on there again here coming up. Very popular female coming out of the Wisconsin area. Actually, a former CEW champion. A handful of years ago, she decided to step away from the business for a little while she was champion, and so we crowned a new champion. Valentina Loca found her way back to the top of the CEW women's division. So now it's a good segue from talking about Brandon Wallace, Big Bad Wallace, and then going right into this match. See, Wallace was a special guest referee in our women's match in March in Oskaloosa. And he wasn't much of a special guest. He was a special punk, man. He went after both of the women. He didn't care. They were doing their own thing. They were stealing the show. And then all of a sudden, Brandon Wallace started attacking one of them when the other one was down, and then vice versa. So we're going to have a good women's match June 4th, finally, something the fans deserve. It's been almost a year since we've had a legitimate women's match because of Brandon Wallace. So Victoria, bring it on, man. If Wallace comes to the ring, if Wallace is around the ringside, or Axel Grease is around ringside, you know him. Victoria will take care of him. She'll give him a widow's peak.
Oh yeah, no, I know she's the type that's not going to put up with any crap. Now she'll be able to keep it straight.
Kind of hope he does come down, to be honest.
You know,
I know I'm looking forward to a good women's match, but I'm also looking forward to the end of the BBW.
Yeah, you know, and that, you know, even though you want it to go down without a hitch, you know, if he came down and, you know, Victoria got to get her hands on him, hey, that'd be kind of entertaining.
It's kind of like Andy Kaufman,
you know,
right?
Yeah,
kind of a goofball.
Yep.
So now you're from Omaha.
Yep.
And you've seen Donnie a lot. And
yep.
You've seen Big Bad Wallace a little bit, maybe not in that form, but as Brandon Wallace. And now we just need to get you 3 hours east. Come over to the Oskaloosa, Ottumwa area next year and catch yourself some Bridge City Slam.
Oh yeah, no, I've been wanting to, and like I kind of already mentioned a little bit ago, you know, why I not able to come this year, even though I really wanted to. But you know, families got to come first and all that. But
Plans.
next year, definitely.
All right, man.
All right.
So you grew up watching Bushwhacker Luke. You're probably a big fan of $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase, who will be there during the Fan Fest.
Oh yeah. No, before the other plans came up, I was actually looking at getting one of his. We are good to go. A little bit of technical difficulties, but like I was saying, before the other plans came up, I was looking at getting one of his Funko Pops to try to get signed at the show. So I don't know. Maybe one of these the next year somebody have come up, I'll get some stuff, because like you mentioned a little bit ago about collecting autographs and stuff. Hangman Adam Page came to World of Wheels here in Omaha, and I got a signed action figure from him. Met a few people at those World of Wheels things. Like Edge came one year, and I have the Elimination Chamber cover where it looks like he's biting the cage, and got that framed and signed. And I got a little bit of a collection of wrestler autographs that I'm pretty proud of.
Very cool. Yeah, it's a fun hobby, man. And every year, Bridge City Slam, these fans. Last year, we had people come from 13 of the 50 states. This year, we're already at 15 of the 50 states that I'm aware of. So we got somebody coming in from New York City for this show. So that's pretty sweet.
Wow,
that's a destination event, and something I really wanted. Ron Simmons is going to be a part of the meet and greet. Damn. So yeah, big guy. And actually, he's been in Iowa here a couple years ago. He came in for an event. I saw him, and I was in the car ride with him when we picked him up from the airport, and just absolute blast to ride with him, and the fans are going to love him.
Yeah, speaking of car rides with him, I remember I had on an episode Buns of Steel Fowler, and he mentioned that one of his dream car rides was him, Bradshaw, and Stone Cold. Like, if he could ever get in a car ride with those guys, and hard to argue against that being a dream carload right there.
He just wants to drink what they're drinking.
Yeah. And I know Stone Cold's got that Broken Skull IPA, and now an American lager that I can't find here in Nebraska. But when I'm in St. Louis, I know it's there, so I'm gonna be buying some. Anyway, next match I want to kind of talk about a guy that I actually just saw last week. Candyman Willie Sweet versus Swoggle.
All right, talk to me. What are the odds Candyman gets his butt kicked by Swoggle? Got to be 100%, right?
I was wanting to say, yeah, from everything I've been hearing from Swoggle on, his side of things, sounds pretty motivated to kick some ass.
Yeah, well, none better than the Candyman Willie Sweet. Last year, Candyman Willie Sweet teamed up with Coda Jacobs, and and we're going to go back to your era when you were a huge fan. Barbarian, one half of the Powers Bridge City Slam.
Oh, yeah.
Candyman and Coda teamed up in a 2-on-1. They tried to take out Barbarian. Didn't work for him. So Candyman's 0-1 right now at Bridge City Slam. On the contrary, Swoggle is 1-0. So I think I think Swoggle's going 2-0 and Candyman's going 0-2.
It would be hard to argue against that. Speaking of people that have a pretty good record at Bridge City Slam, a guy that I just talked to, and who, like I mentioned to you, I'm gonna do kind of a double release for Bridge City Slam. JT Energy was talking about his record at Bridge City Slam. He's got a pretty big night ahead of him there with first the match against Trevor Murdoch, and then if he wins, gets to go up against the one and only Matt Cardona. We talked about how his, like, if all goes the way he wants it to, him, if he gets through the night still undefeated at Bridge City Slam. His matches Murdoch and Cardona in the same night could be like Jericho with Austin and The Rock in the same night.
Yeah, Vengeance 2001 is hard to forget, right?
Yeah.
Bridge City 4 is going to be hard to forget too. When you think about JT Energy and you think about Bridge City Slam, you think at the top of the card, you think of a guy that gets things done. Bridge City Slam 1, he becomes a CEW Tag Team Champion. Bridge City Slam 2, he's a month away from becoming the CEW champion. He goes toe to toe with Jerry the King Lawler, comes up victorious. Last year, avenges his match against Eric Rowan on Raw, beats Eric at Bridge City Slam. So he's setting at 3-0 right now. Comes in CEW champion. Now think about this. If he does this right, he could go 2-0. He can go 0-1. He could go 1-1 on the night. So if you're a JT Energy fan, you're probably hoping for him to pick up the victory against Trevor, go on and defend the CW championship against Cardona. But if you're a Cardona fan, you know that Cardona's kind of the belt collector.
Right? I was going to say, yeah.
So, I mean, Cardona was originally supposed to face Rory Fox at this year's Bridge City Slam. Now think about this. Rory Fox got hurt, was taken out of the match. Cardona could probably pick up the CW championship and then come back to face Rory Fox at Bridge City Slam 5 for the CW championship. So it might be a year in the making, but that Rory Fox and Cardona match could be for the CW championship, right? Yeah. But then you've got Trevor Murdoch, who's been feuding big time with Cardona, the actual NWA heavyweight champion, lost Cardona. So Trevor's not only wanting to get to Cardona, but he's wanting the CW championship. There's just so many different angles. And I think that's what makes it most intriguing is that anything could happen here. It's a night that, you don't have one result. You're going to have to figure out who you want to get behind, Trevor or JT, and hope that works out. And then the main events, one versus the other, Cardona versus one or the other. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a wild ride. To me, wrestling is best when it's a roller coaster of emotions. The ups and downs and all arounds are what I've fallen in love with. You're going to have a several-hour escape from reality. You're going to be able to come in through the doors of the Bridgeview Center, big arena right next to the river, meet people for 3 hours. Then you're going to get to boo. You're going to get to cheer. You're going to get to give a thumbs up and a thumbs down all around, man. It's going to be a good night. And I think capped off with the main event featuring Matt Cardona, who undeniably is at the top of the wrestling, especially independent wrestling scene right now. I mean, good for him, right? Like he felt that he could do better than what he's doing. And he had an opportunity to prove that once and for all, and he's doing it. The belt collector, NWA champion, Matt Cardona coming to the Bridgeview Center on Saturday, June 4th. I'm pretty excited about that. That's a big match for us.
Oh, yeah, that's going to be huge. And, like you said, he's definitely a bit of a belt collector as of late. I'll trying to remember how many titles he has. Like, I know there's obvious the NWA title. He's the Impact Digital Media Champion, or according to him, Digital Media World Champion. And, oh, boy. Long story.
You better just stop lose track.
No, I was gonna say I might as well just leave it at those two for right now.
So I got a question for you. Who do you think? Who do you think? Trevor Murdoch or JT Energy?
Oh,
who's
boy. Trevor Murdoch is definitely going to be motivated to kind of get his revenge on Cardona. JT Energy seems pretty, from what I remember from our talk, pretty motivated to keep that undefeated streak at Bridge City Slam going. I have a feeling JT Energy is going to pull out something And I don't know if I saw this right, but Rory Fox, I saw a little post from him on social media that he might not be able to actively compete because of his injury, but he plans on being there at Bridge City Slam.
Yeah, Rory will be at Bridge City Slam.
And
okay, so you're thinking JT?
Yeah.
Okay, so now, if it's Murdoch, and Murdoch beats JT and he's the CW champion, and he goes on to face Cardona, CW chip match, does Cardona walk out of there CW champion?
If I had to go with my thought that I saw the post from Rory Fox, I have a feeling that it could go one of two ways. That either Rory Fox is going to cause a DQ in the match, therefore Murdoch wouldn't technically lose the title, but Cardona wouldn't win it, or the interference could backfire and Cardona wins it. I have this gut feeling it's going to go one of those two ways.
Okay, if JT beats Murdoch and he goes on to face Cardona, what happens?
I'm going to say kind of the same thing, just substituting JT Energy in there.
So you're thinking
I have this feeling. I think Rory Fox will play a factor in it one way or another.
He should, man. I feel really bad for him. I feel really sad for him. Matt Cardona wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Rory Fox. Rory Fox wanted that singles match more than anything. Unfortunate incident happened, a handful of years ago. They were doing a spot with WWE. Cardona pulled him into the corner during their match, and his trunks exploded, right? And Rory in all of his glory is hanging out in front of an arena full of people, and it was humiliating.
Oh,
never forget the first time that I talked with Rory. I really didn't know that story, to be honest. And Rory was telling me about it. And you could just tell, I was just getting to know Rory at that time. And you could just tell how devastating that was to him. And his pure hatred for Cardona was very real. And I mean, I can imagine if it was me, how pissed I'd be, right? Like that. I mean, that's a legitimate emotion. So years later, in Iowa, of all places, you get this opportunity to go one-on-one with Matt Cardona, and then it's taken away from you. Very, very sad for him, So maybe it'll just have to happen a year down the road at Bridge City Slam 5 that we get that singles match. And, for the CW championship, without the CW championship, doesn't really matter. That's going to be a barn burner whenever that happens. And hopefully it's us, but wherever it happens, it's going to be gold.
Oh yeah, no, that match needs to happen at some point soon. And, since it wasn't able to happen this year, but Bridge City Slam 4, there's always Bridge City Slam 5, which, hey, if all goes to plan, I'll actually be able to be there for it. Yay!
Plan sick day. You're going to be there regardless. You're going to be there regardless. You're planning a sick day if you got to work. You're planning a sick day if you got a family commitment. You're planning on a Tumwa, Iowa Bridge City Slam 4. Big Mo is in the house.
Oh yeah, no, we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it. All right. Next one, the guy that was actually not all that long ago here in Omaha, who seems to be doing rather well for himself. Carlito is going to be in action.
Spitting apples in the face of people that don't want to be cool. Was he doing that in Omaha?
he talked about it. I don't think he actually had the apple and stuff with him at the time.
How does Carlito not spit an apple when he comes to Omaha?
I don't know. You think Carlito has to come with the apple, but from what I remember, he didn't. Like, I actually, on my TikTok page, I actually have a video of his entrance, and yeah, he doesn't have the damn apple.
Oh man. You must have went to the restroom during that match. He had to have an apple.
It maybe at some point maybe, because what, I do remember a time a couple years ago when he came to Omaha, he did. Like, I'm 100% sure that he had one then.
Yeah,
because I believe it happened where he did the spot of he spits the apple in the other guy's face, and then boom, his signature move, and wins the match.
yeah. Well, that's what he's good at, and I can tell you 100% he's going to have apples with him in Ottumwa June 4th. So we're good to go there. Now Kurt Gannon, the Suplex Cyclone, better hope that he's good to go and that doesn't get spit in his face. Kurt Gannon has been on a absolute tear in CEW. He's been around for several years. And once he gets a hold of you, he just suplexes you from one corner to the other corner, back to the other, and then back to the other again. So Carlito might have a sore back, a sore neck, a sore everything if he can't capitalize on that apple early on. He better just come out and spit that apple right away.
Make it quick, huh?
Quick. Yeah, he does. Not here for a long time. I'm here for a good time.
Yeah. I got one of my dogs from my lap. But anyways, the next one I have on my list here, I almost mistakenly thought the person was Pretty Peter Avalon, but it's Joey Avalon going to be in action.
Yeah, so hey, give your dog some love, man. What do you got before we go into that match? So tell me about your dog.
My wife and I, we got two English bulldogs. One right here, her name is Roxy. We call her Big Girl. She's a senior English bulldog. We got one that's probably getting close to 3 years old. His name's Bentley. And we got probably getting close to 1.5-year-old Great Dane.
Bentley, is that a English bulldog?
Yep.
Okay.
We got two English bulldogs and the Great Dane.
So we actually have a dog named Bentley.
Oh yeah.
And, yep. So we live on a farm, and a handful of years ago we were farming. And first thing in the morning, we drive by this park, right? And it's not abnormal for the people to be out with their dogs, walking their dogs at this park. So we drive by this park in the morning, and I see this little dog, and he's running around by himself. He doesn't have anybody with him, which again, not necessarily abnormal because people come to the park. So anyways, long day, cold day. It's in the fall. It's rainy. It's just miserable. And we're coming home, and I'm following my dad's combine, and I see this little dog, and it's in a different area. It's by itself, and it comes, it's running towards me, but I just kind of keep driving by it, right? And so this dog's running towards me. I'm driving a vehicle. I pass it, but I can't go very fast because I'm following this combine. And as I go past this dog, I look in my rearview mirror, and the dog just stops about where we met. And it's looking at me. And I look in my other mirror, and the dog's there. And I stopped my truck.
Yeah.
I opened the door. I felt bad. I got a big soft spot for animals. And I realized, hey, this dog has been here all day. And at this point, it's not normal. So I stopped the truck. I opened the door, and I look out, and this dog is now running back towards me. And little guy, like a Dachshund, right? And I just had my door open, and it came, stopped at my door. And I said, get in here. And it jumped up in by my feet, and it was soaked. It was wet. It was cold. And I took it in. We got it some food. We got it some water. Let it sleep in the house overnight. And then the next day, you're like, all right, what do we do with this dog, right? And we took it to the vet. It never had a chip. There was no collar on it. There was no identification. And the vet said, well, it looks like you just found yourself a new dog. And he's been with us ever since. His name is Bentley. He's a little dashing. I'm surprised he's not sitting here with me right now, like yours is a big girl, right? Like big girl sitting with you. So, yeah, pets are good. Dogs are great. And I'm so thankful that Bentley and I found each other that day, right? I say all the time when I'm petting him, I say, I saved you, and you saved me, right? We found each other when it was kind of a long and lonely day for both of us. So it's all good. I appreciate pets. So happy you got to show off your English. So two English bulldogs and a Great Dane.
Yep.
Very cool.
Yep. No, he's we got lucky, all three of ours get along great. They're like best friends.
And they can't all sit time, right?
You kind of cut out there for a second.
They can't all share your lap at the same time, though, right?
No, I don't got enough room up there. I know. Great Dane, his name's Forrest. He sometimes thinks he's a little lap dog, and one time he got up on my lap, and I'm like, I definitely don't have enough room for anybody else now.
Yeah. Well, we had two dogs when we first got Bentley, and then we've since lost one. So now it's just even with two little dogs when we had them, they both liked being up right next to you, and made it tough sometimes. So I can't imagine having three big guys.
Yeah, no, my wife and I, we had due to some unfortunate circumstances, we ended up losing three of ones we had before, and Roxy, big girl, is the only one we have left from that time. Actually, my first ever tattoo is the paw prints of those three dogs we lost.
Wow.
But yeah, no, it was a rather sucky time, but big girl's still around and kicking. She's up there in age, but she don't let it known that if she's not feeling well, she's still doing everything like she used to. So until we get any sign that she's not living a comfortable life, we're glad to have her around.
Yep, absolutely. They're part of the family.
Well, oh, totally. I have always said, before we even tried to have kids, like these dogs are my kids. I love them just like they are my actual kids. So, all right. Well, anyways, back to the show here. We were just starting to talk about Joey Avalon in his match.
Right. So the other half of the match, JP Harlow's actually originally from the Eddyville, Ottumwa, Iowa area.
Yeah.
So JP Harlow went, and Jeffrey Kopke is his real name. He left Southeast Iowa, Central Iowa, and he went up to your neck of the woods, and he trained with Eugene.
Okay.
He dirty something. Gosh, dirty Jeff, maybe. I forget. But anyway, so I met him. I didn't know this about him. Maybe he came to a show, but I didn't know him. And he came down from Eugene School at one point, and he did a seminar at Bridge City Slam 2. Yeah, Bridge City Slam 2 with Hardcore Holly and Mr. Anderson. So that's the first time I truly met him, got to know him. To be honest with you, I never, we weren't great about keeping in touch with each other, but he would still reach out from time to time. And I knew he was from the area, but when he's from Eugene's now, like he's not close, right? He's just far enough away. So, always, easy relationship, but just one that we didn't keep in super close contact with. So then, Bridge City Slam last year comes around, and again, forget the scenario, but he wishes me good luck and says he wished he could be there, and he remembered how much fun the previous year was. And so we start booking Bridge City Slam 4, and it's a perfect time. He reaches out to me, or we drop a little line on Facebook and a little hint, playing speed, and he's never wrestled in his hometown. So this is a real opportunity for him. He now lives in Texas. He's trained at Booker T's school. He's trained mentor Thunder Rosa at her school, wrestles down there with everyone. Thunder Rosa, top of the world, Booker T, WWE Hall of Famer. Eugene, no slouch on his own rights.
Oh yeah,
so guys went and done things above and beyond to become the best professional wrestler that he can be.
Oh yeah,
perfect time to come home, man. He's been on AEW. He's been all around the United States, but he's never been home. So, got to go with the hometown boy here, in my opinion. JP Harlow coming back to take on Joey Avalon, and stand out from the Wisconsin area. Should be a fun match. Should be an emotional match. Should be a feel good match. Can't wait to see it. That to me, that's a match that may not get a lot of attention when you're talking about, the $1 Million Mans, the Victorias, the Swoggles, the Murdochs. There's a lot of matches that on a poster look really good, but when you look hard and you see the emotion that he's going to bring to that match, the emotion that his fan base is going to bring, a lot of this, his family's never seen him wrestle. His friends, his people that he grew up with, his people that he knows the best. They've just watched him on YouTube when he was on AEW. They've just seen videos, maybe pictures. So to get to see him, especially the Bridgeview Center, you got what, the Quest Arena out in Omaha, the Quest Center or something like that.
I think they've switched names so many times. I think the Giant Center, which I swear every time I hear the name of the place, it makes me think it's a hospital.
Yeah. Well, so you got the hospital arena out there in Omaha. We've got the Bridgeview Center in Ottumwa, and it's a big deal. It's a big place. People know where that's at, and so very cool. Honored to be able to put this together with him, and you're not going to want to miss this. If you're a fan of wrestling, you're going to enjoy this match. Two wrestlers at the top of their game right now.
No, and like you mentioned, him getting to finally have a match in his hometown. I mean, that's a feel good match if I ever saw one.
So like,
you
kind of cut out people from Omaha. Ottumwa's a small town, and you're from Omaha. Omaha's a big town. You have a handful of wrestlers that are from the Omaha area. So there's always, a lot of hometown people, and not everybody knows everyone. Well, in Ottumwa, it's small enough that that one of your people wrestled on AEW, that one of your people is a wrestler. So I think it's going to be a really good showing of support for JP. It's just, so my career started as a hometown boy, wrestling in rural Iowa, and everywhere I would go, I was fortunate enough to have the following of my friends, my family, and my community. And so I look back and I think to my early days, and just again, crazy that he hasn't been able to put this together again, but here we are, Bridge City Slam 4. By the way, if you're listening to this, tickets available at the Bridgeview Center box office now and the day of the show. Tickets do increase $5 the day of the show. But from the convenience of your mobile phone, from the convenience of your computer, Ticketmaster.com, you can search Bridge City Slam or the Bridgeview Center. We have single seats on the floor left. Our front row is sold out. We have a couple second row seats, individual second row seats available. We've got maybe a couple individual table seats available. But general admission seats, $20, gets you into the door. Any ticket to Bridge City Slam allows you into the Fan Fest for free. Now, of course, when you get into the Fan Fest, if you want to buy a T-shirt, that's going to cost. If you want to buy an action figure, that costs. You want to buy a hot dog, that costs. But gives you an opportunity to do some meet and greets, and it's not just the legends that are coming to town for the meet and greets. Your buddy Donnie Pepperkirk will be there. Oh, yeah. JT Energy will be there. JP Harlow will be there. Victoria will be there right next to Sierra on one side, and Valentina Loca already doing her thing, keeping these girls separate. So it's going to be a good time.
Oh, yeah. No, I like Ron Simmons and, mentioned $1 Million Man. Are any of those guys, before we move on to the next match, are any of those guys actually going to be involved in the show itself, or are they just mostly there for the Fan Fest?
Every one of them will be involved with the show.
Awesome. I was curious about that, but no, that is awesome. And you mentioned a little bit ago about when you started off, being the hometown boy, you were not only promoting the show, you are actually going to be in the show in the retirement match for, let me make sure, Storm. I'm spacing off on the first name.
Storm Thomas.
Thomas.
A little history about me, and then I'll give you a little history about him, and then it'll all start to make sense.
All right.
I started wrestling in 2004, and I started Central Empire Wrestling. We had our first show in January 2007. And we're doing these shows, and at that point in time, I'm wrestling pretty regular. And I go to college at William Penn University, come about 2009. William Penn University, and was in Oskaloosa. The shows that I was running were in Oskaloosa. We one of my tag team partner, Evan Jordan, worked with this guy that was jacked and in phenomenal shape, and he looked like John Cena, and he played college football at William Penn. And my buddy Evan, my tag team partner, we're wrestling everywhere together. He says, "You got to see this guy. He's jacked. He looks good. He's smart. He likes wrestling. You got to try to get him to train." So Storm came to one of the shows, and I met him soon thereafter at William Penn, and he was telling me how many, endless compliments of the show, and he had a ton of fun. And ironically, he was a huge Zack Ryder fan, right? So this is kind of neat that now he's on the same show as Zack Ryder. And
yeah.
But so anyways, I see this guy, and they're just people that you look at and you're like, there is no way you should be a professional wrestler.
Yeah.
And then there are people you look at and you say, gosh, are you a professional wrestler? And man, it seems crazy, but usually the guys that shouldn't be are the guys that are, and the guys that should be are not. And so Storm looked, he was a physical specimen, man. He was the real deal. And I said, come to Wellman and train with me. Give it a chance. Nope. Every day. Nope. Next day. Nope. Next day. Nope. Next week. Nope. And I hustled him. And honestly, I'm telling you this, I don't remember it that way, but he does. He will tell the story that I hustled him every day to come train with me. And I'm pretty determined, when I want something, I work really hard to get it. And eventually I went in there one day And long story short, he finally said yes. And so he comes to Wellman and he trains with me. And we knew it would be this way, but he got everything. The first time, it was perfect. I mean, he was just a natural. This was exactly where he belonged. And so he started wrestling a little bit for me. I had his first match with him at William Penn. So we were both students at the time. So now you have, like, he worked the big, beautiful, I'm jumping around here, big, beautiful event center. And he was like the assistant director of this event center. And we set up a ring and we do an event for the students. And I'm the wrestler. So people are intrigued in me. He is a special guest, like he's my tag team partner, but he is their college football player. He is their athletic director. He is their event center director. And so it's kind of a special interest match. And we tore it up, man. We had a phenomenal tag match. The place went crazy. And then he starts to kind of feel it, right?
Yeah.
He starts, oh, okay, I got this. And he was around Iowa. He did stuff for me. Well, then you know what happens in college. Eventually you age out and you graduate. So he graduates and he decides he's going to move back home to Florida. Well, when he moves back home to Florida, he just kind of gives up on wrestling, right? That's just not for him. He wants to, that's something that he just did for a little while when he was in college in Iowa. Well, he ends up the gym that he worked at was the same gym that all of the NXT guys and the Performance Center guys worked out at when it Tampa. This is like FCW, right?
Oh, W days, yeah.
Performance Center, I guess. But so Tony's now working out and sitting in the sauna with Drew McIntyre. Tony's working out with Evan Bourne. Tony's doing this stuff with all of these wrestling guys. And one day, Skinner from WWF 80s, 90s, Skinner, Steve Kern, head of FCW, they start talking. And Tony tells him that he's a wrestler, or Steve Kern finds out that he's a wrestler. Of course, Steve Kern at that time is the head of FCW. Steve hit it off, and unfortunately, FCW about that time closes, and they move to the Performance Center in Orlando.
Gotcha, yeah.
So Steve encourages Tony to get back into wrestling. Tony starts wrestling in Florida, and he starts tearing it up. He starts going to Georgia. He starts going everywhere. He was on Impact in Pennsylvania. He starts coming back to Iowa, and he's just really knocking it out of the park. Well, at this point, I'm not wrestling much, right? Now I'm a promoter. I'm comfortable in that role. I've kind of stepped away, and I'm living vicariously through his experiences. And one of the neatest experiences he was able to achieve was in about 2018. He was honored with the Cauliflower Alley Club's Men's Wrestler of the Year.
Oh, I do remember that now.
And if you know anything about wrestling, the Cauliflower Alley, as far as a legacy is concerned, Cauliflower Alley is really important for the wrestling industry. It's a place that takes care of wrestlers when they get hurt, and every year they have fundraiser is the wrong word. Of course, it's a fundraiser, but it's an annual pilgrimage where wrestling fans and wrestlers, people in the industry, they get together, they converge on Las Vegas. And so Tony went to Las Vegas, and he was honored, right, by this team. My wife and I went out there, and it was just the neatest thing. Again, I live by, this is an experience. Jealous is the wrong word, because I wasn't jealous. Proud is definitely the feeling I had. I was able to live vicariously through him. I was never going to achieve those things as a performer, as a wrestler. So being there with him, he was sitting in the front row, and he had me with him. He had my wife with him and his parents, and Shawn Michaels is sitting right next to us, and the WWE's table is right next to us. And Tony goes up on the stage and he accepts his award. And if it wasn't for every day at William Penn University of hustling him, he never would have done this. And it was so, and he never forgot about me. No matter how many places he was traveling, if I would call him, he would answer. And if he missed a call, he would call me right back. And he never forgot about Wellman, Iowa. He never forgot about our friendship. And, I'm talking to you about wrestling, but we truly do have a friendship. If he vacations in Iowa, we get together. If we vacation in Florida, we stay at his house. Our kids, or my son and his daughters, they love being together. They play together. It's all good. They grow up together as much as they can. So COVID happens, right?
Yeah.
Right before COVID happened. I'm going to get a little long-winded on this just because I think it deserves it. So COVID happens, and about 3 weeks into COVID, Tony Storm calls me. Just a second here.
Your video out again.
Did I get you?
Yeah, no, we're good.
These damn phone calls. My God. I know I got a Zoom meeting. I'm talking about my match. All right. So we're about 3 weeks into COVID, and Storm says, I think there's going to be a lot of people on the independent wrestling scene that they just don't come back. Right before COVID, Storm had a tryout with the WWE. And you might remember right before COVID, there's a company called Evolve Wrestling, Gabe Sapolsky. And it was kind of like it was before you go to NXT, you go to Evolve, right?
Yeah.
So the people that were ready to get called up, they go to Evolve, and that's so good. Well, the assistant trainer at Evolve just got hired by the WWE. So they had a void to fill. So they had Tony Storm Thomas, come in as the new assistant trainer for Evolve. And again, once you get to Evolve, you kind of go to NXT, and then from so you're on the right. So then Tony has the tryouts with NXT, or with the Performance Center, and COVID happens. And Evolve would have a huge event, WrestleMania weekend, every year. Well, COVID happens and everything's canceled. WrestleMania is canceled, and now Evolve has like $200,000, $100,000 tied up in this weekend that never happened.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it was a bankruptcy thing or whatnot, but they closed because everybody was closed because it was COVID. And then they shut down because I want to say WWE hired Sapolsky, or whatnot. So now this perfect situation, you're on the WWE radar. You're an assistant trainer at Evolve. It's all gone. It's all gone. And Tony says to me, Storm says to me, I think that there's going to be a lot of people that never come back, that never wrestle again, that never. And this, or 3 weeks into COVID, we had no idea what was going on.
Yeah.
But I thought he was talking about me. Because I'm a small guy from Iowa. My days are probably just over, right? If this thing really is going to stick around. So we keep in touch, and Tony's wrestling. But now WWE has released tons of people, right?
Yeah.
Now Tony lives in Tampa. Where all the people at NXT and all the people in WWE, where they live? They still live in Tampa. They still live in Orlando. So now the indie scene has shrunk because a lot of these companies never come back. But the indie scene is oversaturated down there. Tony used to be the star of the show. Now he's not, because all these guys lost their contracts and they need places to work.
Yeah.
So you've heard that WWE now is hiring people that are like 23.
Yeah.
And Tony's going to be like 36 or 7 this year. And it's just a really sad deal for him, because kind of that window has closed, and he's very goal driven. He's very motivated by being able to accomplish things. And this is my read on it. He might have a different opinion, but I think he's a good father. He's got a couple of girls, and now he's just going to transition life. He gave wrestling his all. He accomplished a ton of things that I'll never be able to accomplish. But it's just time for him to move on. And so we're talking about the match. He could have whatever match he wanted. He was a huge Zack Ryder fan. If he wanted to work with Zack Ryder, he could. He wanted to work with Braun Strowman, he could. He wanted to work, he's my buddy. He could work with whoever. And he says, before I'm done, I want to work with you. And it's crazy because, like, nobody says that to me, right? I mean, I've wrestled in a long time. I've had 2 knee surgeries. I've gained a ton of weight. I'm not what I should be, but Tony has never forgot about me. And I'm getting goosebumps sitting here in my basement thinking about it, because it's the ultimate honor. I'm going to come out and wrestle for the first time with one of my best friends in the world. That's going to be his last time. And we're both going to try our best to keep it together. And Evan Jordan, CEW Hall of Famer, my tag team partner, the guy that led, that helped put us together, is going to be the special guest referee. We're all 3 really buddies. Evan left the wrestling ring and kind of got out of it here, I don't know, a decade ago, about the time that Tony was coming in. And it's really, it might be, without telling you everything that I've just told you, it might seem kind of strange, but if you're a CEW fan, you remember Evan Jordan, you remember me, you remember Storm. And it's just that night is truly about us. That night is about CEW. That match it's emotional on a different level. And there are so many people that I would hope would get out of wrestling, people that you like, people you don't like, just like with anything. But Tony's one of those guys that you hope always stays. He's smart. He's good. He's everything that's right about wrestling. I don't know that he has an enemy, and it sucks, man. It's the worst. I shouldn't be the last one of the 3 of us wrestling. I just shouldn't be. And I'll probably never be able to give it up, but I miss him already. And it's going to be, people say that, how's it go? I'm not as good as I was, but I'm as good once as I ever was, or something like that. And I'll just say that we're all going to try our best to really put on a hell of a match for you.
Oh yeah, no, that definitely one of those full circle moments for Mr. Storm there, starting off with you, and now he's getting to end his wrestling career with you at the big Bridge City Slam 4 event. It's like JT Energy and I talked about when I mentioned how he was part of what was supposed to be the retirement match for Bogot, who has since returned, but talked about it being kind of an honor to be asked to be a part of somebody's final match. And with as close as you guys are, I imagine that's quite the big honor.
I mean, I would like to think that this is not the end, because I've seen Bogot come back. I've seen other people leave and come back. I left promoting in 2013 and I thought I was done. I sold everything, and that allowed me to fall in love with wrestling again. And so, like, I genuinely hope that Storm is able to have this match and he's able to walk away and he's able to, enjoy his daughters, enjoy his wife, enjoy his life, because he's got a good one in every one of those examples. But I hope he's like me. I hope he's like Bo. I hope he's like everybody else, that maybe it's not going to be what it once was. It's going to be a little different. but I hope that he's able to come back because I missed him already. Wrestling deserves him, and what do you say when you?
No, I'm with you. Yep, I'm here.
What do you
guess another call, man? But yeah, no, I'm here.
So, no.
Yep,
very
no.
excited.
Yep, nope. I can definitely agree. You know, when you're about to be a part of something like that, you know, what is there really to say about it? It's definitely a basket full of emotions.
I ordered some ring gear. I've got custom ring gear, and I've never ordered custom ring gear. I've always been very generic.
Yeah.
And you know, that's part of Bridge City Slam. A lot of wrestlers order custom gear for Bridge City Slam. It's like that WrestleMania for us. It's a big feel. It's a special feel. It's an opportunity for us to shine in front of a lot of people. And I can't wait to see everybody. June 4th will be here before you know it. It's like 10 days out at this point. And this is when it starts to get stressful. So bring it on.
Yeah, no, I can imagine the countdown is definitely on. And when you get to that day, it's going to be one of those things where, you know, seeing everything that got stressful about the days leading up to seeing it all come together is going to be something pretty special, I imagine.
A lot of work goes into this. There's a lot of different people that put their blood, sweat, and tears into this. Most people see the day of from 4 to 10 p.m. But I've been on the ground with others. We've hung over 800 posters, door to door, hanging eight. That's a lot of posters. That is a lot of posters.
Yeah.
And I did a lot of that myself this year. I did have some help. You know, my wife, my buddy Josh, my buddy Tim did have some help hanging posters, but I bet I hung 600 of those things. And you dedicate yourself to the belief that hard work will pay off. And June 4th, Bridge City Slam, will find out if it does this year.
Oh, I'm sure everything that we've discussed and I've been hearing about the show so far, I imagine it is going to be a night people will not soon forget. Well, anyways, one thing I like to do to kind of round off the show is do a little bit of a speed round. I name off some people, you give me your quick thoughts on them. And I kind of like to try to tailor it a little bit to, you know, each of my guests. With you being a promoter, I figured I'd bring up some promoters. First off, we'll go with a guy that, you know, some people might think is a little out of touch, but Vince McMahon.
Genius.
You know, I have to agree, you know, with as long as WWE's been around and all the success that they've had and continue to have to this day, he's had to have done something right.
Yeah, iconic genius.
Yep, nope, definitely. Next one, Eric Bischoff.
Don't know a lot about him. Like what I know about him. I think it takes people trying things outside of the box. It takes people being able to say no. It takes people being able to say yes. I like the controversy creates cash that comes with Eric Bischoff. A pioneer, a visionary, and a guy just blazing his own trail. Like you.
Nope. Or you were about to say
Bridge City Slam 5.
That, you know, that would be awesome. I am a huge fan of his podcast, 83 Weeks. He's got going with Conrad Thompson there. Pretty good stuff. Very informative. Learn a lot of stuff listening to him on that.
And he does live shows. Just saying, Bridge City Slam 5.
You know what? I would not be opposed to that. I would not be opposed to that one bit. That would be one hell of a time. Next off, a guy that I have actually interviewed for the show, Carrie Silken.
Don't know much about him. I know Ring of Honor. I never really followed Ring of Honor a ton. Hear good things about him, but I don't know much.
You know, it was one of my first ones that I reached out to where I was like, you know what? This could be a long shot, but here, let's see if it works. And he reached out saying, sure. And it was funny because right before we started recording, he's like, I'm technically not supposed to even be doing this, but I told you I was going to do your show, so I'm going to do it.
Yeah. Very cool.
It was a good time. One that I did not think I was going to get as soon as I did. It was one of my first ones I ever did over Zoom. So I was like, oh, sweet.
Very cool.
Next one, a guy that is doing pretty good for himself, Tony Khan.
Kind of like Eric Bischoff. Admire somebody that sees something, believes in something, and makes it happen. I don't watch regularly, but I did watch the pay-per-view that CM Punk came back at, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah,
I mean, like,
that was
good pay-per-view. Good pay-per-view. Sometimes there's just goofy stuff that I can't get behind. I'm still like very much a Jim Cornette guy, and so like I think I'm not quite as black and white as Jim Cornette is, but I'm closer to black and white than the color sometimes that Tony Khan throws at you, so it's just it's hard for me to follow sometimes.
No, I can understand that. And the one thing that I've kind of discussed with a lot of my guests is with the current crop of things in wrestling, the current state of professional wrestling, there's so many choices out there. And it's like, if you don't like one thing, there's not that far you gotta look to find something else that you'll enjoy. There's like, you can literally find wrestling any day of the week with, WWE Network on Peacock. You got Impact Plus. You got New Japan streaming service. You got IWTV. Like, literally any day of the week. So many choices.
Yeah, it makes it kind of hard to stand out because there's the access is so vast at this point in time. I was talking the other day to a guy about becoming, putting our shows on Fight TV, and I think that's going to probably happen time a year from now. But there's just so many. There's Pro Wrestling TV. There's ABC TV. There's NBC TV. I mean, there's so much, man. And nothing wrong with that. It's easy, in the day of self stuff. You can. I mean, my screen time is crazy, but
yeah,
it is hard for me to. It feels like, in the late '90s when I got it, it was must see TV, and now it feels like must be on TV. And I don't know that that's necessarily great. It's just the accessibility is much better, but it's not always desirable.
No, I can agree. Like, the sheer amount of choices, it's definitely something to where you have to stand out. You got to find something that makes you unique. But then there's also the fact of, a lot of the choices that are out there might not be what everybody's looking for.
You know what I saw the other day? Actually, you know what I saw today that happened the other day? Some dude set his foot on fire. Have you seen
I
this?
saw that. Joey Janela at the GCW show.
I mean,
that was insane.
I mean, like, yeah. And then he couldn't put it out. Like, Jesus Christ.
You think they'd have a fire extinguisher on standby or something.
I mean, I just feel like, and I know there's people that like that, good for them, but I just feel like if you watch that video, everybody has their cell phone out and it becomes something that now everybody is laughing at.
Yeah.
Might have sounded cool. I'm going to light my foot on, I don't even know if it sounds cool to me, but like this vision of I'm going to light my foot on fire and then I'm going to kick somebody with it. And it's going to be the end. It's going to be great. But then it turns into like, you're kind of made fun of. Like, I just feel like people should say the risk of this going bad is not worth the reward of it going good. And everybody that I see sharing this video is making fun of wrestling. There's not anybody that's like, God, that was awesome. And that's like embarrassing to me. So, just my opinion that I wish more people would agree with, and maybe they do, but yeah, I guess we're lighting feet on fire now. That's right. 22, so of course we are.
Yeah, no, and I mean, I'd have to agree with you. I am a fan of the GCW product, but even that one left me like, what the fuck are they thinking?
Yeah, man, and honestly, that's the bigger concern is when people that are their fans say that, because when people like me that are not necessarily in touch with those things, with like it's easy for me to just say, that was goofy, that was dumb, but when they're fans, when those people that are really behind them say, like, come on, man, like, really, like, you
no, and
fire your foot on fire out. So, I mean,
like it's one thing in a match to have something like you see flaming tables and stuff, but you're to literally light part of your body on fire to do what they did. That, I don't know. Like I said, I'm a fan of the GCW product. I even have next month a couple of GCW icons going to be on the show, John Wayne Murdoch and Alex Colon. But like I said, even for me, that was like, what the fuck are they thinking with that?
Also, it's just a lot of work, man. You got to pour stuff on your foot, and then you got to get a lighter out, and then you got to hope the guy's still sitting there so you can just kick him once. Shit.
Yeah.
Like a steel chair would have been so much easier.
No, I totally agree. But that is about all I have for tonight. I will be sure when I post the link to the show in about a week, there will be links in the description to anybody that wants to buy tickets, because this will be posted, I'm planning a week from tonight, so people have plenty of time to go and get tickets so they can come to the Fan Fest, meet some of the amazing people you're going to have on the show. You know, Ron Simmons, Ted DiBiase, Matt Cardona, a guy that, good Lord, if there has ever been a wrestler that has mastered the art of like grassroots getting himself over, that guy is one.
Yeah, like confidence in yourself.
Yes.
And when you believe in yourself, anything is possible.
Mm-hmm.
I believed in Bridge City Slam 1, 2, 3, and I still believe in Bridge City Slam 4. And thank you to people like you that believes in that believes in professional wrestling, that believes that spending 2 hours with a stranger to help, spread the word of what I'm doing, but also what everybody's doing, what professional wrestling is. When we all believe in each other, unbelievable things happen.
Yes. And that was one of my goals in starting the show, is obviously, yeah, I love getting some of the big names that I've got, but also just getting to help some of the people. Like, we've actually met at Donnie Pepperkrieger Brandon's wedding back a few years ago. I was out there for that, and getting to help some of the people that I know that might not necessarily get a lot of the attention on a national scale. Anything I can do to help out people that I know, people that have helped me out through a lot of stuff, I am happy to do.
Yeah, when you look back on the memories of your life, forward to the memories you haven't made yet, wrestling might just be something we do for a little while. We're gonna be friends for a lot longer than we're wrestling.
Yeah.
And some people come and go, but I like to think the relationships you make right now should last a lot longer than the time you're wrestling right now. So thanks a lot for what you're doing. I appreciate it. And you're exactly what especially independent wrestling needs more of. People that are willing to take their time. And you don't have to be in the ring. You don't have to be behind the scenes. You can be somebody on your couch with your dog on a Monday night saying, hey, I think I can help during this time spot. So thank you very much. We, speaking for wrestling, speaking for promoters, speaking for wrestlers, thanks for what you're doing. We love you. We need you. And thank God for the last decade, because when I first started, like I said, it was like MySpace, and now Zoom. Who would have thought? So very much.
That means a lot. And like I said, links will be posted in the description so people can, if they can come out and support what is going to be one hell of an event.
Awesome, man. We'd love to see as many people as we can.
Oh yeah, the more the merrier, right?
The more the merrier.
All right.